Okay, I have historic news. I have beaten my personal best. I've blown it out of the water. I want to introduce you to my new friend. His name is Personal Best. 80 pounds, 1 ounce. 80 pounds. Yes! I'm so happy. Can you believe this fish? Look at this fish. Why catfish? This is a question I get all the time. I have another question. Why any fish? Since I was born, I've been on the water and involved in one form of fishing or another. I come from a family of fisher folk, and men and women alike. And let's be clear, I do love all fish, and I love catching and releasing, and rarely, but occasionally, eating them. About 2 years ago, I discovered open ocean kayak fishing, and in particular, catching sailfish from a kayak in the open ocean. And thanks to Matt and Eric at Deep Blue Kayak Fishing, any fishing except sail fishing from a kayak was almost ruined for me. Thanks to incredibly cheap airline fares and the RCI system, I was going almost every month for a while. But back to catfish and fishing in general. Here's the truth. I am an addict. It sounds humorous to say you're addicted to fishing, but in my case, it's kind of not funny. Addiction is in my genes and not the Levi's kind. I struggle with drugs and alcohol from high school and into college, and I've got 30 years sober now, and it's something I'm proud of. But really, I've just moved my addictions around. Some people call the things I love hobbies, but for me, they're really obsessive pursuits. Scuba diving, swiftwater kayaking, mountain biking, and fishing have taken the place of the more harmful stuff in my life from those days. These, air quotes, hobbies have been my vice since the early 90s. However, things got serious in March of 2017, and my life took a hard left turn when I hit a deer while mountain biking in the backcountry alone. I was hard in the transition and had just sent a nice double when she popped up out of the brush and leapt in front of me. It was a doe, and I was going at least 30 miles an hour. And I soared through the air after my handlebars perfectly impacted her belly, and the bike instantly stopped. Of course I did not. Very much like when you toss your kids at the pool, I effortlessly glided through the air, down the incline, and head first into a giant oak tree. I was in the air so long, I had time to put several complete thoughts together. Needless to say, despite the helmet, which saved my life no doubt, I suffered a traumatic brain injury. My family was panicking because I hadn't made it home in time to take care of my grandson, which had never happened before. And by the way, it was his birthday. And by the way, also, it's Chuck Norris's birthday, so that's awesome. But using a combination of my daughter and Find My iPhone and quad runners, the search and rescuers were finally able to find me after a few hours of laying in the 25-degree temperatures in my skivvies. I got the full treatment, including the requisite helicopter ride. In fact, my clearest memory was getting in the helicopter and begging them not to cut off my expensive Royal Robin shorts. So my injuries were a lot of scrapage. Basically, the entire left side of my face was super exfoliated, or maybe debraded is a better descriptor. My left elbow was broken, minor spleen damage, which did result in a splenic embolism procedure. So now I can do even more dangerous activities without worrying about rupturing my spleen and bleeding out. And of course, the label of traumatic brain injury due to being unconscious for almost a full day. I spent a week in the hospital and went home with strict orders with no biking or scuba diving in my future. I was pretty bummed. I decided to put everything I had into the catfish. I was already fishing a lot and getting better all the time, and I discovered that my solitary trips were extremely therapeutic. Each time I returned, I found myself able to concentrate, to focus, and have improved clarity and calmness. I guess I should mention the after effects of TBI, traumatic brain injury, were some focus issues, particularly with written word, a loss of some patience, which hitherto I was known for extreme patience, and a sudden proclivity to become homicidal while driving in traffic. So why catfish? Well, for me, it kind of boils down to convenience. They're close, they're enormous, and they're beautiful. These beautiful babes get a bad rep. The term invasive species gets thrown around a lot, or they're eating all the bass, or they're mindless eating machines. A lot of the same myths that used to get thrown on sharks get applied to catfish. Dedicated researchers and conservationists have debunked these pejoratives, and they've done a lot of detailed and extensive studies. I got back on the bike in April, and I'll be scuba diving in a few weeks for the first time in 2 years. I'm still homicidal in traffic, but most of the other bad stuff has faded from my TBI. The catfishing has stuck with me though, and now I have a new quest, and I'm inviting you to join me. My name is Eric, and I'm on a mission to land a catfish over 100 pounds. Thanks for fishing with me today, and I can't wait for our next adventure.